Hello there, I'm Christina at the Cold Spring Harbor Fish Hatchery and Aquarium, and today we are going to be bringing the hatchery directly to you. So I am here today to talk about one of my favorite animals that we have here at the hatchery, and to give you a little hint as to what this animal is, this is a piece of what this animal is, and it's also the state reptile of New York. So here's a little telltale for all of the herpetologists out there. This should be a good giveaway to what species this is. This is our common snapping turtle. Now I'm going to go over a little bit about what the common snapping turtle is, where you can find it, some really cool facts about it, and then I'm also going to debunk some myths about them, and I have a special treat for you guys towards the end. And yeah, so just make sure to watch the whole video, and we'll have a little bit of fun with that. I'll be showing you something that you don't really see too much if you come here to the hatchery in person. Yeah, so we'll get started. So there are two species of snapping turtle that we have in North America. There's the common snapping turtle and the alligator snapping turtle. So the one we have in New York is the common snapping turtle, and this is the shell from it. The color of it can range, but sometimes it's so covered with algae that you can't see the shell itself. But they have these nice little serrations at the end here. So the top part of the shell here is called the carapace, and if you look at the bottom part of the shell here, it's very, very small. This bottom part is called a plastron. Now most turtles, if you've ever looked at a turtle's belly, it covers the entire shell right here. But snapping turtles are really special because they have what's called a reduced plastron. And that's exactly what it sounds like, it's reduced. So if this were an actual live turtle, this would all be flesh. So part of the reason they get their name snapping turtle, not because they listen to jazz music and snap along, but because they need to be snappy. If they get flipped over, all of that flesh is exposed and it makes them an easy target to get eaten. So they need to have a defense mechanism, something to help them keep alive, which is to be really snappy so they don't get flipped over to begin with. Now I have my fancy prop here, talking a little bit about those jaws. You can get a good look right here. So they have a beak, kind of like a bird, and there's no teeth in there. But you definitely don't want to get bit by this. It's still a really sharp beak. It's nice and hard, they can chomp onto food, and they pretty much go for anything that they can get their mouths around. They'll go for other turtles, they'll go for fish, small birds, amphibians, other reptiles, but they also do eat a lot of aquatic vegetation, so they're omnivores. They eat meat and they eat plants. So a little bit about their diet with that. Now, what about their habitat? So snapping turtles, the common snapper, can be found in most bodies of fresh water in New York State that are slow moving. They, despite the fact that they almost live their entire lives in the water, they're not the greatest swimmers, and instead they walk along the bottom of the habitat that they're in. So they like shallow water, they like slow moving water, all of those mucky streams and rivers, swampy areas, bogs. They love places like that, and they use all of the vegetation in habitats like that to hide themselves. They are ambush predators. They'll wait for something to come by and snap at it, but they're also scavengers. They'll eat all sorts of things they can find between the carrion, all the dead animals they might find, as well as the vegetation that I was talking about before. Now, a little bit about the myths. So I am going to be bringing out a special guest for you guys, and she's actually been hanging out with me this whole time right over here, and she's going to help me debunk some of the myths about snapping turtles. So give me just a second to get her. She likes to wedge herself in there. Let me just get a good hold on her. And there she is. So this here is Boulder. She's our big old snapper. As you can see, she's quite large, a lot bigger than the shell that I was showing you guys. And I'm going to tilt her back a little bit. You can see the reduced plastron down there. She has all of this flesh, and oh, I can't tell if her mouth is open or not, but I know she's wiggling around a little bit. But she was hiding over here looking just like a rock using that camouflage of hers, and she's covered in some algae and some sand, and she was really just hoping that I wouldn't see her, but I knew she was here. So she's going to help me debunk some of the myths about snapping turtles. So one of the first myths is, well, if you have a lake and you hear there's snapping turtles in it, can you go swimming? Yeah, you can go swimming in there. Let me just get a better hold on her. There we go. So snapping turtles, put her down a little bit. Whoop. She's a little heavy and she's wiggly, so we're just going to put her right here for now. So they are more comfortable when they're in the water. And if she's more comfortable in the water, she's not really going to be snapping around at anything that goes by her unless it's food. So if there's a pond or a stream and you hear, well, there's snapping turtles in there, I know, then you still can go swimming with them. Chances are, if they see a human coming by, they're just going to try to go on their way. Or like in her case, she stays in the corner because she wants nothing to do with me. So that's the first myth. And you already know it was debunked, because if it was not debunked, she probably would have been attacking me while I was in here, because she was in here the whole time I was, and obviously I was safe. So, I know. Now let's talk a little bit about what she's doing, right? She's all snappy. She's living up to her name. So first, a little bit about the way I'm holding her. Snapping turtles have really, really long necks. They can swing their neck all the way to about here. So whenever you hold snapping turtles, you don't really want your hands too much further up than their back legs here. Now, sometimes people ask, can I hold a common snapping turtle at the back of its head, the shell right here? You can do that with alligator snapping turtles, because their heads are really, really big and they can't fit their heads in their shell at all. But with common snapping turtles, if I were to put my hand at the top of her shell there, she might still be able to get me because her head is a little bit smaller than alligator snappers. So the best way to hold them is from the back right over here. I have one hand underneath on her plastron. The one thing you never want to do is pick them up by their tail. They're super, super heavy, and if you hold them up, all that weight by their tail, you can actually cause some serious damage. So that was my little tangent going on about holding them. Let's talk about that second myth. Are they aggressive? Well, that depends on how you use the term aggressive. Me personally, no, I don't think they're aggressive. They are defensive. So if this animal were aggressive, she would have been chasing me all over the pond, and basically it's unprovoked. If she's defensive, that's what she's doing right now. She's trying to defend herself. She's a little bit scared by me, and she's trying to get me to go away. So are snapping turtles aggressive? In my personal opinion, I say no. I say they're defensive. We're a lot bigger than them, and she's just trying to scare me away. So I did see her mouth is open. She's trying to say, look at these big old chompers. I got a scary beak there, and if you get too close, well, I might just snap at you. So I'm going to listen to her. She's getting a little stressed. I'm going to put her right back in, just like that. And she's not really going to bother me. She's just going on her way, further showing that she's not aggressive, just defensive. So let's talk a little bit about the last myth I want to debunk about them, and that's the old myth you always hear, oh, that snapping turtle will bite your finger off. Well, that's not really true either. So despite the fact that a bite from this turtle would hurt a lot, chances are she's not actually going to take your finger off. They actually only bite with a force of about 40 to 45 pounds per square inch of force. Where humans, if you were to measure our bite force at the back of our mouth, at our molars, is around 70 pounds per square inch, which is actually more powerful than Boulder there. She's already going away. She wants nothing to do with me. So humans can bite harder than common snapping turtles. Note that I said common snapping turtles. Alligator snappers are a whole other ballgame. But our common snapping turtles here, well, they don't really have a good chance of biting fingers off. We have a higher chance of that. Now, don't run around and try that. That is not recommended. But that is just debunking that myth right there. So I hope you guys had fun. I hope you learned a little bit and enjoyed meeting Boulder there. She's definitely happy that the video is over. She's going on her way. And thanks for watching.